Hey guys, I hope you're doing well. I hope you are having a great week so far. It's only been 2 days. It almost feels like the weekend is upon us. If you have so many things you want to do and no time to do it in, then it sometimes feels like it. Tonight I did more cardio than I had planned for, but everything is going very well. I don't know, I'll share with you guys. Maybe I have mentioned it. And my athletes, and some of them know that I'm also kind of prepping, and I'm saying kind of because I am prepping. I'm just not 100% sure for what yet. I enjoy preparing for shows. Greta wants to compete. She has a show in mind. We'll see how things go. But I don't give a shit. I just like to prep. I'm always kind of dieting anyway, so this will just add a little bit of a challenge to that, restricting myself where, in other words, I'll be like, I'm not got a show coming up, so I can do whatever, and whatever would be something very small throughout. But now there's none of that stuff. Back to the plan. Anyway, the thing I thought I would talk again, as I said this week, we talk a little bit about training and bodybuilding stuff, is the idea of progressive overload. And I'm not going to go into it. It's not my my principle. It's not my discipline. I don't sell it. I don't tell people to not do it. You can do whatever you want to do. I just, when I work with athletes and we are planning for them to do very well, and let's say it's somebody that's at a risk of getting injured, somebody that might be training heavy. Not everybody is like that. Some people immediately understand that form is more important, and other athletes really like to challenge themselves, or they are just naturally strong. And being naturally strong doesn't protect you from injury. It just means you are more prone to injury maybe. So keep that in mind. And my strength athletes that I prep for shows, they know exactly what I'm talking about. Anyways, so the idea of progressive overload is making it heavier every now and again. And it's a very old idea being kind of relabeled, rebranded, going out with its own little tweaks, of course, revisions to the idea. But an old friend of mine and one of my, the best mentors that I've had, Ollie, used to say that even if it was, and he again heard this from a mentor of his many moons ago, that even if you just add your ring, take it off and add it to the barbell in between sets, that's good enough. It's just adding a little bit. So the idea is not to train heavy. It's to challenge yourself. It's to make sure that you're working up. Of course, Ollie was somebody that liked to train heavy, so where me and him kind of maybe had different ideas about training. He just liked training very heavy too. It's not something I particularly aim for. For me, it's more about focusing on the form, focusing on the contraction in the muscle, the negative movement, doing rest, pause, drop sets, things like that. And when you go very heavy, of course, you can do these, but it really brings your volume down, 6 to 8 reps, where in off season, I would do that sometimes, where I want to push the weight a bit. But then I stay away from higher rep ranges because then I believe it will again increase your risk to injury. Rather staying in the low rep ranges where I have more control, and your energy would just hold out better for those, especially if you're going heavier. So the idea is, I'm not saying anything, I'm not going to say yes or no to it. Everybody likes the way they train. If my athletes ask my advice, I say that the only thing where athletes don't understand is that there should be a roof. There should be somewhere where you can tell me, Kobe, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it 5 kilos, 10 kilos, or whatever the jump, how many days apart, weeks apart, months apart, whatever your plan is. But then you need to say, but I'm going to stop at 120, 140 bench. That's going to be my limit, okay? And this again differs for any athlete. I'm saying, if let's say it was me, right? Let's say not me. Let's say me of 100 kilograms, right? And I'm like, okay, where am I gonna? Am I off season or am I preparing for a show? If I'm off season, I'm a little bit more chill. There's no shows in mind, so I can go a little bit heavier. I am even a little bit heavier. I'm drinking a lot of water, eating a lot of food. So in a prime position maybe to take some risk and go a little bit heavier, especially if it's under controlled circumstances, right? If I'm dieting, my control might not be that good. I might be tired, I might make mistakes, my volume is higher, so the risk, and I've got a show coming up where I've put a lot of work in, you don't want to get injured. So weighing up these risks involved, right? Does it sound smart to go heavy when preparing? I know athletes sometimes go too light. Don't go too light when you're in season. Try to stay at least working up to about 70-80% of your maximum, even in your in seasons. Try that at least, even if you work up to it, just 1 or 2 sets up there and then move on to the next exercise. Okay. And off season again is different. Here you can add a little bit of weight. We can add, let's say 100 on a bench. Let's say I'm 100 kilograms. Let's say bench 140, 160 maximum is where you should be off season, and then play around with doing drop sets, rest pause sets over there. I'll be very impressed if you can do 180 kilograms, 10 reps, 10 sets. Let's go, man. Show me. I'll approve. The exact same with squats. You can do that 140, 160, the same kind of rep ranges that we discussed, 6 to 8, of course, is which I would prefer then. And then as you do drop sets, maybe going 10 to 12 and so on. So that's kind of the idea of progressive overload. I want you guys just to put a cap on it. Just because you're not a strength athlete, you're a bodybuilder. So the goal is size, not strength necessarily. I always used to joke, strength is a byproduct of what I do. I train a lot, I train hard. Strength will come naturally. I need to focus on my form to get the shape I want. That's where my sport is focused. All the other sports out there, strength, of course, has its benefits, like in bodybuilding. Tell me a sport where strength doesn't have a benefit. Chess, okay. You know what I'm saying? So, of course, but for us, byproduct. If you're a strength athlete, fuck, man, that's a whole different conversation, okay? Have a great night, guys. See you tomorrow.